What is up, YouTube? Welcome to another video. In this video today, we're going to talk about the reality and how close we might be to Ethereum flipping Bitcoin, and basically ETH taking over as in the narrative of store of value over Bitcoin. And we're going to dive into it, both aspects, and we're going to cover that. Before we get started today, I do want to thank this video sponsor, which is Prime XBT. I've got two special things for you. First off, we've got a giveaway. No strings required. Just comment below, and you'll be entered to win a $250 giveaway, which means that when you sign up for a brand new account with Prime XBT, you'll get an additional $250 funded into your margin trading account. The second deal I got for you is, if you don't want to comment below, but you still want a sweet deal, is go ahead and use the promo code EMPIRE50 when you sign up for a brand new account, and on your first deposit, you'll get an additional 50% bonus. So they'll give you 50% of your original deposit as a bonus when you make your very first deposit. So those are the two things I got for you. Okay, let's get back into the video. So there's been a lot of talk since, basically since Bitcoin and ETH really started breaking out and got mainstream appeal. Maybe ETH will flip Bitcoin someday, or maybe Bitcoin will lose its throne someday. And obviously that's compounded by things like this new global macro report by Goldman that was leaked out over the last couple of days. So here's the report. I'll give you the link below. It was published on the 24th. I believe it's free. Yep, there it is right there, report.pdf. So if you look at who has contributed to it, we've got Novogratz, Rubini, who hates cryptos. I just think it's funny when people include him. Grayscale's, GS's own Matt McDermott, GS's research analyst. Yep. Okay. So a bunch of different crypto analysts and then Goldman Sachs analysts weighed in on this, which I think this is good. We've got this report. We've got many reports coming out. We've got the United States of America wanting to publish a paper later in the summer with proposing their central bank digital currency for feedback, which I think is kind of funny. You're publishing a paper, but anyways, it is a step forward. But let's start with Bitcoin. And let's start something that might actually be a problem, and that is Bitcoin mining. So, before Elon Musk decided to change his mind about how he felt about energy consumption on Bitcoin, and before China banned it for the 1,000th time, and before papers published that Bitcoin had died for the 400th time, is there's a real issue going on, which is that there's a centralization of Bitcoin mining that occurs and is happening every single day, and that's because a lot of the mining is done out of China, and a good amount's done out of Russia and in between in Mongolia. And so I know a lot of people don't like to hear this. I know a lot of people like to ignore this, but that's just how it is. So now there's this new proposal from the state council, which is like very high up government agency, I guess, to be caring about crypto mining. And really what it is it's just bad optics. And if you know China at all, China is all about just trying to frame up good optics. So the minute that they've got bad optics, the minute that something happens with Disney or the Uyghur camps, or how close a movie was recorded to this thing or that thing, as soon as that happens, they get super aggressive and almost try to immediately cut ties to remove themselves from looking bad. And so the unfortunate thing about this is I don't think now that the woke media and a lot of people with the wrong intentions got a hold of the energy consumption narrative with Bitcoin, is I just don't think it's going to go anywhere. And I think that short term, this could be a negative thing. In the long term, I think it'll be great. But for now, it's not really that great. Then the reason why is because we're basically on this pendulum, just swinging back and forth. Maybe China wakes up tomorrow and somebody gets to scratch up their ass to ban mining. And then miners have to immediately go and find a new solution. And that could cause problems with hash power. That could cause problems with the network running because so much of it is done through China. So let's weigh in on this. There's this Ethan Vera, who's Chief Operating Officer of Seattle-based mining firm Luxor. Okay, apparently all the Chinese miners that I know are reaching out and they're getting pricing and quotes. But here's what he goes on to say. It's not such an easy thing. And he estimated the ideal capacity in the U.S. is less than 30 megawatts in the entire country at this very moment. To put that number into perspective, that's less than 1% of the hash power required to support all mining machines that are currently in China, according to Vera. So here's how slow this would actually roll out, like on the ground. Is it would take between 60 to 90 days for a mining farm to build out another 10 or 20 megawatts. And then it would take probably, he goes on to say, a year for it to get back up to the speed that it's at now. That is very, very bad. Excuse me, half a year before the hash rate comes back online if everyone had to like bail out of China right now. And so that could have negative effects on the price of Bitcoin. And the annoying thing about that, and the thing that myself and many other enthusiasts are hoping for, is the day that we really see ETH and DeFi and a lot of these altcoins essentially decouple from Bitcoin. It is really annoying that when Bitcoin dumps, that everything else just falls to the floor. Now, granted, I understand that an ETH to BTC pair should fall to the floor because the denominator is crashing right now. So that would pull the numerator down, okay? That makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is like, how is that affecting so much the USD pairs, and how is Bitcoin affecting ETH so much and DeFi projects so much? It's just, I can't wait to see what this future looks like if we can ever get to that point where, you know, ETH decouples. But so anyways, that summarizes the Bitcoin issues that we're really facing right now. And it seems like they go in to talk about OKEX, and that they've essentially removed a lot of the more dangerous leveraged trading stuff and vehicles that they offered, the products that they offered. They have gone on to remove a lot of those. And it's because they think that what's happening is there's kind of, according to the state media, there's two narratives going on. Is that, well, first off, it's everyone's a liar, but China. But secondly, it's that, you know, it's all these dangerous derivatives products and these investment products that are causing such financial harm, and we need to protect the people about that. And then there's the narrative with the dirty energy usage, which China's a huge dirty energy user. So I don't really get that. It's just they're trying to save face with this. Okay, and it's all about narratives. Okay, so that's that piece. So we summarize that. Now let's dive into what this Goldman Sachs report gets into, and then I want to show you a chart and get into ETH versus BTC and some of the promising things that we're seeing there with price action. So, all right, the report was leaked within the last couple days, I believe. Yeah, within the last 3 days. Okay, Goldman Sachs noted that the tag of Ethereum blockchain as potential store of value draws on its growing use cases and hosts a large number of dApps and smart contracts. So, I mean, we've got all kinds of stuff going on ETH. We've got DeFi spun out of ETH. We've got NFTs have spun out of ETH. But essentially, there is no bounds to what we could actually store. And they go on to say this, is that you can store almost any information securely and privately on a decentralized ledger. Yes. And this information can be tokenized and traded. Hence, NFTs, music, and some of the more interesting stuff that we're seeing. I think it's going to get really interesting when Celsius really starts to take off with tokenizing mortgages and land ownership. I think that could get really, really fun. But basically any trusted information. The issue with ETH is at a level 1 is, ETH to ETH, that layer is very expensive. The gas fees are very, very expensive. And the more use case that builds out on ETH, it's not like that's going to get cheaper. And the thing that I don't like with the ETH community, I guess you could call it, it's so slow for them to roll out changes. So fucking slow. And that's annoying. And we're living in a world where that kind of slowness on such a cutting edge piece of technology is just like almost embarrassing to me. It's very pathetic, and it's almost embarrassing. So I would just like them to tighten that up, and like, if we're gonna do this, say you're gonna do it, and then go do it to the public. They're like, don't drag your feet for 2 years with some of the different Constantinople updates and everything else. And now they want to make more changes and more upgrades, but Layer 2, I think, can fix a lot of that. Like, you've got Matic that can fix a lot of that, Polygon, and who else? Phantom, I think, is another big up-and-coming. ADA, I think, is building out some of its own, but that's separate. But yeah, you've got a few that are building out now as Layer 2s on ETH, and that could be very promising. And that could take care of a lot of these issues with gas fees, so that you don't have to send directly, and you can go around that with much cheaper gas fees. But the argument is solid, and I would say that if we really are comparing the two, like, do we really expect Bitcoin to become, this global currency? I never did. I don't know about you, but I always thought of it as kind of sliding into this digital gold. And I know people don't like that because they're like, well, there's already gold. Well, the thing you're missing is that as soon as we actually get into the space, so we're into space race, but as soon as we actually get out into space, and this sort of space race is over, and we're there, and we're out there, Well, gold's not going to really matter so much anymore. And I know gold bugs aren't going to like that, but there's so much gold mineral deposits out there on asteroids, and I've showed you these reports over the years. There's like quadrillion amounts of this stuff to where everyone on the planet would just be rich with the current value of gold. And as well as I do, from a basic supply and demand standpoint, is it's gonna drive that cost way down. With hyperinflation, if this kind of hyperinflation trend everything continues to go up with pullbacks, but we continue to go up, is maybe gold does settle in here at $1,800 to $2,800, and it's just always what it is. And moving forward, and kind of silver settles in, and that asset's kind of no longer looked at the same, and maybe Bitcoin can step in and take over that narrative of something that, yes, this says 21 million, and they'll never have more. I don't think they're going to crack SHA anytime soon. I don't think you'll be able to bombard the network. It's going to take too much hashing power. It's going to take too much, power consumption, and you'd be able to see that power consumption happening. It's not like so low key as it used to be, to where you could just pop up a mining rig and you could take down the network, or you could pop up a farm and nobody would notice it. I mean, everyone's going to be able to see that footprint, that energy footprint, and so you're not just going to be able to swoop in and just gotcha with overpowering the network on Bitcoin. So I think the better option for it, and since again nobody's really telling anyone what to do with it, Bitcoin really doesn't give a fuck what you think about it. It's just going to continue to be what it is. And so it's up to us to, I guess, label what we want it to be. And I just have a feeling that people are going to do what people do, and it's just going to kind of slide into this digital gold narrative, and it's going to stay there. And it's going to continue to do whatever it does, be volatile. Maybe it slows down. Maybe as more institutions start to hold it and put that as collateral on their books, that it'll kind of like level out at some stage, like what we see with gold. And it takes 4 or 5, 10 years for it to move. That could happen. But definitely, if that's going to happen, then we definitely need an everyday player, don't we? And ETH with its gas fees is not the option either. That's not the solution either. So there needs to be something else. So again, maybe it could be layer 2 stuff. Maybe there's new things in development that we don't know about that could help drive this forward. But I think the story, I think the narrative is solid, rather, and I think that it's something that we should be discussing more. Whereas what tends to happen is you get into this conversation and then beliefs and emotions come up. And a lot of people, it's camp Bitcoin maximalist versus ETH coin maximalist, and that just doesn't really make sense, because it's about the greater good. And so it's just interesting to see so much selfishness from the same people who are saying, no, I'm selfless. So yeah, it's just interesting to watch. But here's some commentary from the chief executive of My Ether Wallet. Unlike Bitcoin, ETH is not just a value token, meaning it actually fuels all use cases built on top of the ETH blockchain. Again, that's true. NFTs, DeFi's, decentralized applications, etc. So yeah, this just gets into like the use case of it, and the argument, I guess, from these snippets that were taken from the report. But let me now pull up a chart really quick, and let's look at ETH versus BTC, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so this is a monthly chart, so keep that in mind. But it's pretty clear to see what's going on right now. Is we have consolidation, first breakout, slow grind down, slow death, and then some small consolidation before breakout started, right? And the difference here is that we're now seeing over a year of consolidation. I mean, what is this? These are monthly, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 2 years of consolidation, essentially, of ETH consolidating against Bitcoin, and now we're starting to break out. So we get how many of these? You could consider this a breakout, based on, like, if we were to zoom in, this would look much larger move. But we got somewhere between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months worth of movement. So 1, 2, maybe we got another 3 months of movement. And really the fireworks are going to start when we break this May high from 2018. That's when the fireworks are going to start. But we are in a little parabolic right now. And even with the pullback that just happened, it still looks really, really good. We're just sitting above the mid-range of this range here. So, I mean, essentially what you would want to see is boop, boop, retest up, right? So hold this level, treat it as support. Again, that's going to play out over days and days and days. So this has a very high time frame level conviction. Your high time frame macro traders are going to notice this. They're going to get in, and this is going to be, for a lot of people, a long entry for a big, big write-up on ETH. This also means that Well, a few things. A lot of people believe that this means that there's more upside for ETH. I think short term, that's probably true, especially with this energy narrative that's going on now. It really seems to be grabbing a hold. And I see, if anything, Bitcoin's going to range. Its dominance is way down, which as ETH BTC goes up, dominance goes down. Okay, that's a natural inverse of each other. And so what we can expect is we can expect more ETH breakout. And so, I mean, once you get up here, I mean, what are we really talking about? We're talking 5,000, 8,000, 10,000 ETH. And all-time high, you definitely are. That's where these numbers are coming from. I believe it was, who was it? Somebody came out a couple weeks ago, and said that their target for ETH was 10,500. And all these targets could happen, right? They might not. But, you know, having a huge breakout and retest here on a high time frame, is very, very convincing. And very good for the upside, right? So this is a very easy spot to punt along and really jump on the ETH train if you haven't already. A lot of people are already converting over assets to just hold ETH from Bitcoin, etc. But yeah, this is a very convincing breakout so far from just this second year and then where it's going now. But yeah, 2-year consolidation to now be breaking out. Like, don't expect it to end soon. I don't think the party's just gonna blop and then it's done with. And especially now that there's a chink in the armor of Bitcoin, a lot of people are going to run in and just say, yep, boom, and push the ETH narrative, which is good. I mean, maybe that's what's necessary. I don't really know. Keep in mind that Bitcoin doesn't have a team behind it. It doesn't have somebody. So it's just going to become what we all agree that it should become. And good or bad, it's what it's going to become, right? So I guess that's the best way to say it. And so from a price action standpoint, ETH, very convincing. If they can keep pumping this narrative, then you'll have ETH leading the way, which ETH will probably drag up Bitcoin. We've seen it do that in the past, whereas usually people assume Bitcoin will drag up ETH and drag up everything else, or if Bitcoin really breaks out, then alts dump. Whereas what we've seen in the last couple of months is we saw ETH breakout, leading the breakout, and then that dragging up Bitcoin. So anyways, I just figured I'd kind of weigh in on that and give my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Comment below if you got something to say. Again, just by commenting, I'm going to use a random comment generator and pick somebody, and they're going to win $250 in Prime XBT credits. So thank you so much, Prime XBT, for sponsoring this video. And yeah, you're welcome. You get in on that, and hopefully you guys win. And if you guys do want to trade on Prime XBT, use Empire50, get 50% off. Get 50% added on your first deposit into the exchange there. Like it, don't like it, or thumbs it down. Subscribe. Be on the lookout. More videos coming soon, my friends. See ya.